This watch has a case like a Rolex, a dial like a Grand Seiko, and it only costs $75. In this video, we'll be taking a look at this brand new watch by Addiesdive, a super affordable Chinese watch brand that's creating some of the best value for money watches in the world. Now, there aren't many watches that you can actually buy for under $100, and well, those that are typically have a poor build quality and well, look a bit rubbish. So when a watch is only $75, and it looks this bloody good, you have my attention. Now typically I don't review watches from AliExpress on this channel. I don't particularly have anything against them. I'm just not a big fan of clomage watches that have zero originality. So when I saw this watch and realised that it isn't just a direct copy of another model, I knew that I had to get it in for a review. So I parted with my hard-earned $75, waited 2 weeks for the delivery, and here we are. This is the Addiesdive AD2030, a watch that has a Rolex Oyster style case and bracelet, and a Grand Seiko-esque dial design. The part of this watch that caught my eye instantly was the dial, which looks like a stunning, calm turquoise ocean with a light breeze dictating the waves. I wouldn't say that it's Tiffany blue, more of a baby blue. This isn't some kind of optical illusion either. This dial is actually 3D. Those waves really do ripple across the dial like an actual ocean current, with the ripples on the dial surface getting closer towards the summit of the watch. The finish is somewhat metallic and changes colour depending on the lighting condition. I don't quite think I've ever seen a dial that looks as good as this for this sort of price. The hands and indices feature a completely polished chrome finish, and the indices are multifaceted, which all sparkle differently depending on the direction of light. This style of indices are more common on vintage watches, so they give this watch a neo-vintage look. Now I do have to admit that I'm a bit of a sucker when it comes to Dauphine hands, and that's exactly what we see on the pinion of this ticker. All of the polished surfaces really give this dial a lot of sparkle, almost imitating the sun reflecting against those ocean waves. Now the Rolex Oyster case is one of the most recognisable in the world, and this watch adopts a very similar design, not only in visuals but sizing too. Of course, everything on the watch is made from stainless steel, and surprisingly enough, for only $75 you actually get solid end links and a milled clasp, which I think is a bit insane for that sort of price. The finishing of the watch is also very similar to Rolex Oyster cases, with brushing on all the forward-facing surfaces and polishing on the sides. The case sides have that bubble effect that you see on many Rolex models, and that's one of the most recognisable elements to an Oyster-style case. The bezel is completely polished, which I wouldn't usually be a big fan of, but it works because of the polished hands and indices. The signed clasp is a double push-button deployant, and it features 5 levels of micro-adjustment, so finding a fit with the watch shouldn't be an issue. I like this clasp. It's small, easy to operate, and it suits the style of the watch very well. Covering the dial is a boxed domed mineral crystal with blue AR coating, and you can really notice that blue AR when the sun hits the glass. Some will question where's the sapphire, but at this price I'm not offended at all, especially when you consider that the likes of Seiko and Citizen throw mineral on watches costing 3 times the amount of this watch, and due to the dressier nature of this watch, I don't think I'll be bashing it around too much, so it's not really much of an issue for me. Now, although the seconds hand is slowly ticking around the dial, this watch is in fact not a mechanical watch. Inside the Addiesdive AD2030 is the Seiko VH31 Mecha Quartz movement, and if you didn't already know, I'm personally a big fan of this range of movements. I love that the seconds hand never misses the marker, and that the watch is always running and doesn't need time to be wound or set. The main issue with this movement is that it will need a battery change every 2 years, but with most mechanical watches needing a wind every other day, I certainly don't see that as a big issue. Now, I personally see this watch as a grab and go, a great all-rounder, and the fact that this watch has 100 meters of water resistance really helps with that. And because this watch has a screw-down crown and screw-down case back, I do trust that this watch is indeed swim-proof. There is something that I'm extremely confused about though, and I was hoping that one of you guys watching could clear this up for me. Why the hell is this watch called the Deep Sea Hunter? I mean, firstly, it's not a dive watch, and secondly, it doesn't have the water resistance to go deep in the sea. It's very weird, but hey, I've seen much worse names on watches, so I suppose we'll give it a pass. Now, the size of this watch is true to that Rolex-inspired case. I measure the watch at 37mm in case diameter, a 46mm lug-to-lug, and an 11mm thickness, which are all very similar in size to the classic Rolex Datejust. I have to say, this watch is incredibly comfortable to wear, and I do have a preference for smaller watches anyway, so this watch is right up my street. Now, Now listen, this watch isn't perfect, of course, it's only $75. The crystal will pick up scratches over time. The bracelet is a little bit squeaky when on the wrist. Unfortunately, the 19mm lug width will limit strap options, and I know some of you will not be happy with the choice of movement. But I am extremely impressed with what this watch has managed to do at this very low price point. The finishing is done to a surprisingly good standard. The dial work is better than any other watch I've seen under $100, and the actual build quality feels extremely solid. Maybe I should give AliExpress brands a bigger chance going forward. What do you guys think? Now, if you're watching this video when it's first been released, then I believe there is an AliExpress sale going on soon, so you should be able to get this watch for even cheaper than $75. After fees and delivery, you should be able to pick it up for around $60. And if you're not a fan of the blue dial, there's actually two other colour versions available, one that's a sandy colour and one that looks like snow. So I'll leave an affiliate link to buy the watch featured today and the other colours in the description. And if you're watching during the sale, go and check it out and grab yourself a bargain. Also, I have heard that this video here is the best video on YouTube. Like, throughout the whole platform, that one's the best. So I think you should go and watch it, and I'll see you over there, okay? Bye-bye.